Jordan Brand has been doing some really cool things with its archived items, from releasing a prototype Air Jordan 13, now dubbed the Black Cat, to releasing player editions specifically made up for MJ and no one else, never seen the light of day until recently, all the way to player exclusive PE colorways that have also never seen the light of day until recently, like Gary Payton's Air Jordan 12, just saying, those are dope. But now Nike seems to be in its bag with primetime Deion Sanders Nike Air Diamond Turf in the prototype colorway. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we're taking a detailed look and breakdown on these potential bad boys right here. I say potential because I'm personally just a little bit confused, even though the things that they've done are awesome. But these right here are the Nike Air Diamond Turf, a shoe that we recently reviewed in its original colorway. But these ones right here are just a little bit different. Everything from the packaging to the overall presentation to the product itself, not quite like what we saw earlier this year. And that actually does start with the box. Like, first off, this box is dope, okay? Like, this is a vintage style Nike box. I absolutely love this. They've got that kind of lost and found looking treatment to them where it's pre-vintaged or pre-aged, whatever it is that you want to call it. That's what this is. Now, if you look at the box label, you could see that it says Nike Air DT, which means Diamond Turf, Proto 92. So obviously this is a prototype manufactured in 1992. When did Deion Sanders see it though? Shoe released in 1993. You would assume that he saw it in 1992, but the things are a little bit vague. So what happens when you open up this box? First off, it's really cool. Like, I gotta say, like, this whole thing is really dope. I would love more of this. I just want more context because, like, these are on sneakers right now. And while it talks a little bit about this being different than the actual release version, it doesn't talk about everything that I feel like needs to be known, especially with the add-ons that they added here. So when you first open up the box lid, the paper right there boldly states confidential. I think that's really cool. It makes you feel like you're getting the prototype instead of Deion getting it. And then it comes with this little pamphlet right here, which I think is awesome. What this pamphlet is for is kind of anyone's guess. However, right here at the bottom, it says for internal use only. And these are things that you'll see if you're at Nike HQ over in Beaverton. Like, I've actually seen stuff like this. I've been invited over there. It's always a great time. Being on campus is kind of like, I don't know, like if you're a Disney person and you go to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever, the Magic Kingdom, it's like that, but for sports and shoe enthusiasts. But either way, it feels like this is made for Deion Sanders as kind of like an introduction, if you will, to like what he's about to be doing, his itinerary, if you will. You look inside, it's got a map of the US, it's got Beaverton listed right there. Over to the right, you can see what he's about to be doing, at least I assume, because there's no dates here, so like in what order? It just says the first thing, Deion leaves in limousine to head to the airport. So I'm assuming he's leaving Beaverton to go work, right? Something that I do think is awesome though is that it clearly states that he's on the Falcons, which is something that we talked about with our previous review of these, and people were arguing like, no, these are the 49ers, or he was on the 49ers when he had this, and it's like, no, he was playing on the Falcons first, got the shoe, and then he went over to San Francisco and did his thing and things like that. And he did wear his second official shoe while with the Niners. That one you can definitely consider the Niners, but similar colors, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. And then I was also notified by our awesome viewers that the mesh paneling that's on the strap system here is not gold just to be gold, like for, you know, San Francisco's sake. It was actually to represent his gold chains that he wears. So I thought that was sick too. So again, coincidence that you could wear this with something, or at least the original colorway, with 49ers gear, sure, but he was a Falcon at the time, plain and simple. What I really love though is that at the end, is that after he was done playing football, you could clearly see that he went and hopped a ride to go to his baseball game. He was a two-sport athlete, man. That's some baller right there, dude. It's fucking sick. And I gotta say, like, this has nothing to do with the product, but I love that they've got Deion from the era here. First off, his hair is so cool. And second off, that outfit is on point. Like, come on, bring some of that back. Now, as far as the shoe itself is concerned, when you pull out the left one, it's going to have this confidential tag on there. It's got a kind of like a makeshift promo sample little tab or tag on there. I have lots of shoes that actually do have those things on there. They all look different depending on which brand you've got. Nike's even look different than this. This is clearly like them making a prototype or knockoff version of their actual promo sample tags. And again, I think it's really cool. You can see that the completion date was 10/92. So he was getting these things in his hands and checking them out prior to its 1993 release. And one of the things that it definitely does state on sneakers is that these are made a little bit differently than what we actually saw like release, like not just directly to retail previously, but what we've seen ever since. So What are those differences? Well, it's simple. They actually teased this with the LeBron 21 Prime 93 joints, and I didn't even notice it, which I think is amazing because like that shoe was so great. It just was like, oh cool, they're pulling from the Deons. That's cool. No, actually, this whole strap system right here is different than the actual release version. On the pairs that we previously reviewed, it does not say Nike boldly on the strap. It has the swoosh logo on there, and then the swoosh that you see at the midfoot panel is not even there at all. It's all chain everything. Whoa. Is that a big difference? No, but I do think it's cool. You know what I mean? Like getting something that's different than what you're used to, especially if it is actually like the promo sample or prototype, whatever you want to call them. I think that's awesome. The strange thing though is that I can't seem to find an image of the actual prototype. Like I've been trying, I can't find one. I don't know if it's just been scrubbed from the internet or if there isn't a picture, but like what the f. But yeah, just in case you were wondering what's different between these and the regular release, it's just the strap system. And again, they use this strap system with the swoosh on the side panel and the Nike boldly on the strap with the Nike LeBron 21 Prime 93s. And I just think that that's cool, man. Like those use the prototype strap system. These got the strap system that were on the prototypes. I just think it's dope. Is anything else different outside of the colorway itself? No. So the outsole is still the same exact turf trainer outsole that we saw on the originals as well as all the subsequent retros. If you wanted a detailed history breakdown on those retro models, you could check out our last video on the original colorway. It's kind of waffle inspired in certain areas like the forefoot, but not to the point to which like it looks like a running outsole. This is clearly a turf trainer outsole. So the shoe itself was made for obviously the turf, but a lot of people in the 90s that bought stuff like this, like I personally played against plenty of people on the blacktop that wore these things while playing basketball, and it was cool. So yeah, something like this is thick, it's rugged, it's durable, but I will say that if you do play basketball and you wanted something that offers traction that's not gonna just turn to slick rubber in like 2 weeks, I always say go 90s, but go turf trainer as well. You'll be set. It's not the greatest traction out there, but it's durable. Now moving on up, the midsole itself is polyurethane as it was originally, and then encapsulated within the polyurethane is a forefoot and heel air sole unit. It's not full length, but there are two different air sole units in there. And then the insole, believe it or not, it's not a piece of I think that this is a good insole. It's a solid insole. It's not a great insole, but it's not one of those cheap ortholite style, like the light blue foams or the green foams and all that stuff. Those things are open-celled foams. Those things, as soon as you start wearing them, it'll pack any little tiny air pocket that might be in there down, and they just basically turn into nothing. It's great if you want an insole that will mold to your foot really quickly, but in terms of overall comfort and support, they just don't really offer much of anything. Whereas these firmer insoles actually do, and they still will, you know, mold to your foot the more that you wear them. It just takes a little bit longer. Doesn't offer the same amount of step-in comfort, because that's what those other insoles are for, those light fluffy ones. They're for people when they stick their foot in there, they feel instant relief. They're like, ooh, look at all that comfort, even though it's not really there. It goes away. So yeah, this is not a bad insole by any means, but if you did want to swap it out for something else, you definitely can. It is removable. Now the upper on these guys is really nice. I'm not going to say that it's premium or anything like that, even though Nike probably will, but it is very nice soft leather nonetheless. The polyurethane coat on top is super thin, so you actually get to see and feel the leather underneath it, and it's great. This is the stuff that I remember Nike products being more like in the 90s. Like if I was gonna go right back here, I'm not gonna grab the Jordan because I know that that was like a premium shoe back then. But I will grab these awesome things right here. This is the Flight Turbulence. This was, I won't say a takedown shoe, but it definitely wasn't a super expensive model. And the materials on these are great. Like this is great leather right here. So this reminds me of this, and I really like it. I like it a lot. Now, not only is the upper all leather everything, but the majority of the strap system is as well. The only part of the strap that's rubber is the part that has the branding labeled all over it, but both side panels are actually leather, just like the rest of the upper, and I think that it's great. This is such a slick looking shoe. This is not even like, I don't even like love these or anything like that. This is not like my favorite thing to dive into, but I like the execution. Now the tongue is still neoprene, just like it was originally. There is the same exact original logos on the top of the tongue as well, which I think are fantastic. I absolutely love the way that that looks. I love that it's in rubber as well. The Diamond Turf logo is on the pull tab as well. And just in case you don't know what the Diamond Turf is all about, it's about Dion being a two-sport athlete. So it's got the field goal as well as the diamond plate. So it's representing both both things that Dion plays. It's that simple, and it actually looks good. Nike Air branding on the heel, just as it should be. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, they do fit true to size. They are very snug though, so they're narrow. If you don't like that, you might want to consider going up half a size. Try them on in store if possible. Speaking of being in stores, they will be available here locally in the Sacramento area over at Phenom. If you wanted to know their launch procedures and which locations will have them, make sure that you follow them simply at Phenom Global over at Instagram. But true to size for most is what I would go with. Just give them a little bit of time to break in. Again, unless you're a wide footer, then you're going to want to try these on just in case. But with all of that being said, what is today's user submitted question of the day?
Who is the greatest superhero of all time? King of the Hill style. Only one can be left standing.
My brain went to King of the Hill.
Mine did too when I read it.
Yeah.
And I went, oh no, they mean like
Yeah.
King of the Rock or whatever.
My brain went. What was the question again? Sorry, I just spaced out.
Who is the greatest superhero of all time?
Oh, the greatest superhero of all time. Superman was the first one. So like, do you pick him? Or do you go with that cool factor of like, yeah, I'm human, but I'm also Batman. You know what I mean? I read something on Instagram recently about, it was in a comment section of something else, but like basically they were like trying to compare like, why does Tony Stark get for being who he is when Bruce Wayne is hyped up as one of the greatest superheroes of all time, and they're both humans, they both are rich.
One of them hides their identity, but the other one doesn't.
I know, but just in terms of like, oh, without the armor, he's nothing. But then like, you could say the same thing about Batman without the gadgets, right? But like, it's his intellect, but they're both extremely smart. So it's just like, it's two different things though. Like one's more like a tinkerer, like an inventor, and then the other one is more a strategist.
Well, it could also just be like, some people rub you the wrong way, and maybe
Tony Stark does that.
Yeah.
I would say big time, because like that's the funniest thing about the whole like live action MCU in general is like none of the characters that I wouldn't say disliked, but just wasn't a big fan of in the comics. I am huge fans of them in the MCU, like Captain America, even Iron Man and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that they're, it's kind of like interesting how they've made what I would consider some of the more unlikable characters likable. And so yeah, so I think it's really cool, but I don't know. I guess I would say Spider-Man. Spider-Man's probably the most interesting, not just because he's the most relatable, because like he's broke like most of us are. Nothing seems to go that fool's way. You know what I mean? Like as soon as he's in love with somebody or he's happy or something like that, some goes down and it messes his whole mojo up. And he still seems to be able to like be like, no, I'm gonna push aside my own personal thing and struggle through it, but still do what's right. And so like, I think that that's really cool. But like the most impressive part about him, which I would also tie into someone like Superman, is that they're constantly having to like hold themselves back physically from whatever their adversary is. Like obviously like Superman doesn't have to hold back on somebody like Darkseid or Brainiac, but like if he's going just up against regular people or something like that, like the Joker, like Superman could like incinerate him if he wanted to. He can Homelander anybody. And yes, I'm aware of the Injustice storyline and that he has Homelandered the Joker before, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about mainline continuity here. And Superman doesn't kill. But those are just my thoughts, so I guess I would cheat and pick two, one from each major comic book brand, even though I know there's other smaller ones and things like that. However, if you were to choose, and I guess I would tweak the question, if you wanted to choose one from Marvel, one from DC, go for it. Who is the greatest superhero of all time? And on top of all of that, sound off below and let us know what you think about the Diamond Turf prototype releasing to retail for the first time, supposedly ever, even though I've never seen the actual prototype. I really want to know. If you have a picture of it, please DM me. I would like to see it. But yeah, sound off below and let me know what you think about them. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. We will catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.